Jack Morrison liked silence. After 12 hours fixing machines in a noisy repair shop, silence was the only gift he wanted. His little apartment was not much, but it was his castle. He dropped his tool bag by the door, kicked off his boots, and walked straight to the bathroom. Nothing in the world was better than a hot shower after grease and smoke. Steam rose around him as he leaned against the tiled wall, letting the water wash away the dirt of the day. His eyes were closed, his mind empty. For a few precious minutes, the world did not exist. Then the world crashed back. A burst of light flashed in the shower, sharp and sudden, like a camera going off too close to his face. Jack's eyes shot open. The water still poured, but now he was not alone. A woman stood right there inside the shower with him. She was tall, her dark hair plastered to her shoulders, her clothes strange and shining as if woven from liquid metal. Droplets slid down her face, but she looked completely calm, as though appearing in a stranger's shower was nothing unusual. Her eyes, pale and sharp like silver blades, ran over Jack from head to toe. Then her lips curved into a smirk. Jack froze. His brain scrambled for logic. What the? Who are you? How did you even get in here? The woman tilted her head. Interesting. Her voice was smooth, almost amused. She made no move to leave. Instead, she folded her arms, ignoring the water spraying over both of them. You did not scream. Most do. Jack blinked, stunned. Of course I didn't scream. You just popped into my shower like it's a bus stop. Get out before I call the cops. She chuckled, low and amused. Cops? I see. You believe? Your authorities could contain me. Curious confidence. She took a step closer, ignoring Jack's attempt to press back against the wall. No fear, just anger. Yes, interesting. Jack held up a hand, trying to shield himself while fumbling for words. Look, lady, whatever prank this is, it's not funny. You can't just break into someone's house. I did not break in, she interrupted. Her tone was flat, almost bored. I teleported. Jack gaped at her. Teleported? His rational mind wanted to laugh, but something about her presence made him hesitate. The glowing shimmer that had accompanied her arrival still seemed to linger, faintly in the air. This wasn't a normal break-in. He swallowed. Teleport right, sure. And I'm the king of Mars. Her smirk widened. You may not be royalty, but you are unusual. My name is Kalira. I came to observe, to test, and it seems I have found something worth staying for, Jack groaned. This had to be a dream. Maybe he'd fallen asleep at work, passed out from exhaustion, and was now trapped in some bizarre sci-fi nightmare. But the water on his skin was real. The smell of soap was real. And the tall, confident woman smirking at him was definitely real. He shut off the water with a sharp twist of the handle. All right, you had your fun. Joke's over. You can use the door like a normal person. But Kalira did not move. She leaned casually against the tile, studying him like a scientist, watching a new species. Normal? She repeated softly as though testing the word. Humans and their need for rules, doors, privacy, fear of the unknown. Yet you, she pointed at him with a slow, deliberate gesture. You stand here, half exposed, arguing, with me instead of begging me to leave. That is not normal. Jack's frustration boiled. Yeah, well, I've had a long day and I don't have time for space tourists in my shower. You want to study humans? Fine. Go to a university. I'm not your science project. Her expression shifted slightly. The smirk softened into something more thoughtful. Science project? No, not quite. You are a possibility, a variable, perhaps even the answer. Jack had no idea what she meant, but her calm certainty made him uneasy. He grabbed a towel from the rack, wrapped it around himself, and pointed to the door. Listen, whatever test you're running, take it somewhere else. I just want peace and quiet. Kalira didn't budge. Instead, she tilted her head again, her eyes glinting with interest. Peace and quiet. Yet you do not run. You do not kneel. You challenge me. It is refreshing. She took a slow step closer, And Jack's heart hammered, though he forced himself not to retreat. Finally, she gave a small nod as if confirming something to herself. Yes, I will stay. Jack nearly dropped his towel. Excuse me? No, you will not stay. You just broke into my shower, and now you think you can… Her voice cut through his protests. Calm, confident, unshakable. I can, and I will. Until… I understand why you are different. Jack stared at her, speechless. His life had been normal just 10 minutes ago. Now an alien woman with teleporting powers stood in his bathroom, declaring she was moving in like she owned the place. And somehow deep down, Jack knew this was only the beginning. Jack Morrison had faced a lot of strange machines in his career, but nothing prepared him for a stranger who could teleport into his bathroom and refuse to leave. The woman, Kylira, sat comfortably on his couch now, as if she had paid rent. Jack stood nearby with his arms crossed, his towel swapped for jeans and an old t-shirt, still trying to understand what just happened. So let me get this straight, he said slowly. You're… what? An alien tourist? A lost traveler? A thief who uses glowing smoke bombs? Kylira's silver eyes flicked to him, sharp but amused. I am none of those things. I am a seeker. My people study, judge, and decide. Earth is one of the places under review. Review? Jack frowned. What is this, a cosmic school exam? Do we pass or fail? She smiled faintly, though it did not reach her eyes. Fail, usually. Jack blinked, unsure if she was joking. You're telling me your people just grade planets like a teacher grades homework? Kylira leaned back, folding her arms. We measure value, resources, strength, intelligence. Most worlds are taken. Some are ignored, few are spared. The words sank in, heavy as lead. Jack rubbed his face. So let me guess. Earth is on the chopping block. Kylira gave the slightest nod. It is… likely. Silence filled the room. The sound of the refrigerator buzzing in the kitchen suddenly seemed too loud. Jack stared at her, trying to keep his voice steady. And you came here? Why? To tell me this bad news personally? Her smirk returned. No. I came to see if humans have anything worth keeping. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing as she studied him. And you interest me. Jack almost laughed. Me? I'm a mechanic. I fix engines and drink cheap coffee. I'm not exactly the hero type. Yet you argued with me instead of begging me for mercy, Kylira said calmly. You mocked me. You treated me as an intruder, not a master. Most beings cower before seekers. You did not. Jack shook his head, pacing a few steps. Maybe that's because humans don't like strangers in their showers. Her smirk deepened. Perhaps. Or perhaps it is something else. Jack stopped pacing. He looked at her straight. Look, I don't know what you're looking for, but you won't. Find it here. Earth is full of normal, stubborn, loud people. We work, we argue, we make mistakes. If your people think we're weak, fine, but don't stand here pretending you can judge us after 5 minutes in my bathroom. Kylira studied him silently for a moment. Then she rose to her feet with graceful calm, her strange clothes catching the dim light. You speak with anger, but also conviction. That is why I stay. You will show me what humans are. If I decide you are worthy, I may argue for Earth's survival. If not… She let the words trail off. Jack frowned. Not exactly comforting. Her gaze softened slightly, though the edge in her tone remained. Comfort is not my task, truth is. Jack rubbed the back of his neck, unsure what to do. Kick her out? Impossible. She had appeared in his shower. She could probably appear in his living room again. Call the police? What would he even say? Hello, officer. A teleporting space woman broke into my home and now she's eating my chips. He sighed. Fine. If you're staying, at least follow some ground rules. First, no teleporting into the bathroom. Second, no touching my tools in the garage. And third, you wash your own dishes. To his surprise, Kylira laughed. It was a small, short laugh, but genuine. You attempt to set rules. For me? Yes, Jack said firmly. Because this is my home. You may be some cosmic judge, but here, you're a guest. Got it? Her smirk returned, but this time there was respect behind it. Very well. I accept your rules. For now. Over the next few hours, Jack learned more about her. Kalira spoke of her people in pieces, careful not to reveal too much. They traveled the stars. Teleportation was their main tool, and they considered themselves above most species. They were efficient, powerful, and merciless when needed. Jack couldn't help noticing how she avoided speaking about herself. Whenever he asked about her personal life, she redirected the topic back to humans. Why are you so curious about me? Jack asked at one point. Kalira's silver eyes glinted. Because you are strange. You live in a small dwelling. You own little, yet you act as if you own the universe. You speak as though your words matter. Most primitives bow when faced with higher power. You argue. Why? Jack shrugged. Because bowing never fixed anything. If you want respect here, you earn it. Her gaze lingered on him, unreadable. That may be why I stayed. As night fell, Jack realized she had no intention of leaving. She sat cross-legged on the couch, watching his TV with quiet fascination. A commercial for laundry detergent made her laugh harder than anything he had seen all day. Jack stood in the doorway, shaking his head. His quiet life was over. He had no idea how long this woman, this alien, would stay. But deep down he sensed she was telling the truth. Earth was in danger. And so, Jack Morrison was slowly learning that life had changed forever. Kalira, the tall, confident alien who had teleported into his shower, was now a constant presence in his small apartment. She followed him everywhere, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Jack tried to keep things normal. He went to the grocery store, watered his few plants on the balcony, and even spent a quiet afternoon tinkering with a broken motorbike in his garage. Kalira, of course, followed him through it all. She never touched anything unless he allowed it, but she watched everything, her silver eyes filled with curiosity. This is a washing machine, Jack explained one afternoon, gesturing at the old appliance in the corner. You put dirty clothes in here, add some soap, and it cleans them automatically. Simple. Kalira nodded, her gaze distant. Efficient, but primitive. Why would you waste water when air cleaning methods exist? Jack frowned. Air cleaning methods? What, like waving your clothes in space? This works fine for humans. It's cheap, easy, and it gets the job done. That's what counts. She tilted her head, studying him. You do not value efficiency above all else. You value practicality. Comfort? Habit, Jack grinned. Exactly. Sometimes the best solution is not the most advanced one. That's how humans survive. She considered this silently, her expression unreadable. Then she looked at the ceiling and smiled faintly. Humans are curious. You cling to rules and objects, yet you adapt to circumstances. It is unpredictable. Jack laughed. That's called being smart. Kalira did not seem to speak much about her people. When Jack asked, she would deflect or answer vaguely. She told him only that her people traveled between worlds, evaluating species and technology. They were fast, precise, and rarely made mistakes. She admitted that most species she had studied were inferior to her expectations, easily conquered or ignored. Jack, of course, had no intention of being conquered. One evening, as he cooked a simple meal, Kalira leaned against the counter. You live alone? No family, no significant connections? Jack shrugged. I like my space. Keeps things simple. And honestly, most people don't get it. They see humans as weak. I prefer to rely on myself. Kalira's eyes softened slightly. Independence, rare. Most beings depend entirely on guidance, rules, or control. You. She paused, watching him stir the soup. You are different. Jack chuckled. Thanks, I think. She smirked faintly. You think too much for a primitive, yet it suits you. As the days passed, Jack noticed something strange. Kalira seemed almost entertained by human life. She laughed at commercials, commented on street signs, and sometimes mimicked human expressions in a way that was almost endearing. "You eat this?" she asked one night, holding a slice of pizza with curiosity. Jack nodded. "Yes, delicious and simple. Humans invented it. Makes life better." Kalira examined it like a scientist inspecting a sample. Then she took a small bite. Her eyes widened. Flavor. Complex. Surprising. Earth has potential. Jack leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "See? Even the most advanced alien can't ignore a simple pizza." Her smirk returned, faint, but amused. Potential? Or unpredictability? Perhaps both. Not everything was lighthearted. Jack soon realized that Kalira's visit was not just curiosity, it was a test. One evening, she spoke with a seriousness that silenced the room. "My superiors will soon arrive," she said. "They will judge your world. They see humans as inefficient, chaotic. They do not respect your kind." Jack frowned. "And what about you? You respect us?" Kalira paused, staring at him. "I observe differently. You are not like the others. You challenge expectations. You are unafraid." Jack swallowed. "So I'm a good example, huh?" She nodded slowly. "Possibly. If you continue to demonstrate the traits of your species, I may argue for your survival. If not..." Her voice trailed off, leaving the unspoken threat in the air. Jack's jaw tightened. He had never felt such responsibility. He was just a mechanic, but now, in a strange way, he represented all of humanity to a being from the stars. The strange companionship continued. Kalira began joining Jack on short walks through the city. People stared. Some took photos, and a few whispered. But she never tried to hide. Her confidence, calm demeanor, and strange beauty drew attention. Jack explained basic human customs. "These are traffic lights. Green means go. Red means stop. You follow them and chaos is minimized." Kalira studied them carefully. "Primitive. Rules yet effective." He nodded. "Exactly. Humans may not be perfect, but we adapt. That's why we survive. No technology can replace creativity, courage, or stubbornness." Her silver eyes lingered on him. "Stubbornness? Fascinating. Perhaps it is your greatest strength." Back at the apartment, Kalira's interest in human culture grew. She tried watching television, read simple books, and even played with Jack's old puzzle cubes. She was often frustrated by their simplicity, yet never gave up, studying each movement, memorizing patterns, learning quickly. Jack watched her, amazed. "You're learning fast. You might even understand humans better than humans themselves." Kalira smirked. "Perhaps. Or I may simply appreciate the unpredictability of your kind. The moments that cannot be controlled, measured, or calculated." Jack shook his head. "That's called life. You can't just calculate everything. That's why humans keep surviving no matter what." By the end of the week, Jack had accepted one truth. Kalira was here to stay, and his life had completely changed. He was no longer just a quiet mechanic in a small apartment. He was part of something larger, something he didn't fully understand yet. And Kalira, observing and learning, was watching him as if the fate of Earth depended on his actions. Jack lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling. He could hear Kalira quietly reading in the living room, and though he was nervous, he felt a strange sense of pride. For the first time, he realized that humans were not weak, not primitive, not easy to dismiss. Their strength was in their adaptability, their courage, and their stubborn refusal to be controlled. And Kalira, who had come to judge, was learning it firsthand. Jack closed his eyes. Tomorrow, he thought, would be another day. Another day to show what humans were capable of. Another day to prove, somehow, that Earth deserved to survive. And Kalira would be watching. Jack Morrison woke early that morning, a restless tension gripping him. The strange calm he had felt during the last week had vanished. Kalira, his unexpected guest and alien observer, stood silently by the window, her silver eyes scanning the sky. Something was coming. He could feel it. Kalira finally spoke, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. "They are near." Jack frowned. "They? Who's near? What do you mean?" Her gaze remained fixed on the clouds. "My people, the Seekers. They have detected our presence. Soon they will arrive to judge your planet and decide whether it should continue to exist." Jack's stomach twisted. "Decide whether Earth exists? You mean they're going to destroy us?" Kalira's expression was unreadable. "Possibly. My people are not cruel, only efficient. They do not consider humans a threat. Most planets they judge are easily conquered or eliminated. Earth is under consideration." Jack ran a hand through his hair, feeling the weight of the news. He had never been a hero. He had never fought in a war, never faced danger beyond a broken motorbike or a stubborn engine. Yet somehow the fate of the entire planet rested in part on him. He turned to Kalira. "So what are we supposed to do? Stand here and wait for them to show up and blow us away?" Kalira finally looked at him, her silver eyes sharp and piercing. "No. You will show them why humans are worth more than their calculations. I will help, but you must lead. Show me the unpredictability, the creativity, the courage." Jack blinked. "Lead? Me? I fix engines for a living." Kalira tilted her head, almost amused. "That is why you are valuable. You are ordinary, yet you resist. You challenge expectations. That is what my people cannot measure." Jack swallowed hard. "So, they measure strength, speed, technology, but they don't understand stubbornness or cleverness?" Kalira shook her head. "Not fully. That is why I am here. You will teach them without them realizing it." The day passed in tense preparation. Jack gathered what he could: tools, machinery parts, electronics, even simple household items. Kalira studied everything, her hands never touching but her mind absorbing. Humans rely on simple technology and quick thinking, Jack explained as he worked. If they come, we'll need tricks, traps, diversions, something they won't expect. Kalira nodded. Unpredictability? Yes, this is what I need. Your species' potential lies not in raw strength, but in ingenuity. By late afternoon, the sky darkened unnaturally. Strange shadows moved high above, barely visible but unmistakable. The Seekers had arrived. Massive ships hovered silently, scanning the surface. Their technology was advanced, far beyond anything humans could imagine, yet Jack did not panic. He turned to Kalira. "All right, let's see if your people really can't predict us." She smirked faintly. "Do not underestimate them. Yet do not underestimate you." Jack and Kalira worked together to set simple but clever defenses. Jack placed mirrors to reflect the sunlight into the scanners, wires to trigger harmless but confusing signals, and containers to create distractions. Every device was improvised, built from scraps and household items. Kalira watched, fascinated. "You are creating a strategy without advanced calculations. You rely on creativity, observation, and timing. This is remarkable." Jack shrugged. "It's what hum do." The next morning, the sky was bright, but tension hung heavy over the city. Jack Morrison knew the Seekers might return. The previous day's encounter had been a warning. Earth was under scrutiny, and any misstep could mean disaster. He glanced at Kalira, who was already scanning the horizon from the balcony. Her expression was unreadable, but Jack could sense her concern. "They will come back," she said quietly, turning to him. "Soon. This time, they will be prepared. Your simple tricks may not be enough." Jack nodded, determination hardening in his chest. "Then we'll be ready. We'll improvise, we'll adapt. That's what humans do." Kalira raised an eyebrow. "You are confident. It is admirable. Most beings would cower. Most would surrender without a fight. You do not." Jack smirked faintly. "Maybe they should underestimate us. It makes it more fun when we surprise them." Jack spent the morning preparing. He scavenged more materials, scraps of metal, spare wires, old appliances, and turned his apartment and the surrounding streets into a maze of clever traps and diversions. Kalira watched him closely, offering guidance but rarely touching anything. She was learning, observing, and assessing humanity in real time. Humans rely too much on technology, she said, examining his improvised devices. But you rely on thought, on unpredictability. That is why I find you fascinating. Jack chuckled. Brains over brawn. Simple as that. By mid-afternoon, the Seekers returned. This time their ships hovered lower, scanning with greater precision. Alien figures moved inside the crafts, analyzing the city with advanced instruments. Jack's neighbors watched from windows, wide-eyed and whispering, unaware of the danger but sensing the weight of it. Kalira stepped forward, her silver eyes sharp. Do not underestimate them. They are powerful, they are precise, but they cannot measure the human spirit. Jack clenched his fists. Then let's show them. He led a small group of neighbors he trusted through the streets, activating the traps he had set up. Mirrors reflected sunlight into the Seekers' sensors. Wires triggered false signals and decoy movements confused their scanners. Every move was timed, every distraction calculated, but not in a predictable way. Kalira watched, impressed. Unpredictable and brave. You are teaching them. Even without weapons, humans can resist. They cannot anticipate your actions. Jack grinned. They can't, that's the whole point. The Seekers descended further, sending scouts into the city. Jack and his team set their final trap, a makeshift network of wires and metal scraps that, when triggered, would create an illusion of larger forces moving through the streets. The first scout appeared, a tall, armored figure moving with precise, mechanical grace. Jack held his breath. Then, with a flick of a switch, lights reflected, wires sparked, and decoys scattered. The scout froze, confused, unable to determine the true threat. Kalira's smirk returned, her eyes gleaming with approval. See? Humans are not predictable. That is why you survive. That is why your species endures. Jack's pulse raced. Not bad for a mechanic, huh? She chuckled softly. You are extraordinary in simplicity. The battle of wits continued throughout the afternoon. Every time a Seeker moved closer, Jack's traps forced hesitation. His neighbors, though ordinary people, acted quickly and followed his instructions without question. They had no weapons, no advanced technology, but they had creativity, courage, and trust. Kalira moved among them, guiding silently, teaching without interfering. You inspire loyalty, she said. Humans follow you because they believe, in your mind, not in power. That is rare among species I have encountered. Jack shook his head in disbelief. I'm just doing what I can. You guys underestimate humans every time. That's the mistake. Her eyes glimmered. Perhaps, but now my people are beginning to see. By evening, the Seekers began to withdraw. Jack's simple but clever defenses had delayed them longer than they expected, forcing them to reconsider their approach. Their precision could not adapt to human unpredictability, creativity, and spirit. Kalira approached Jack, her expression serious yet filled with admiration. Your species is remarkable. You do not rely solely on strength. You rely on thought, adaptability, and courage. You are a force even my people cannot fully comprehend. Jack exhaled, exhausted but proud. I guess stubbornness has its uses. Kalira nodded. More than you know. Today you showed your species worth. They will take notice. Your planet may yet survive. Jack looked at her, a mix of relief and disbelief on his face. So we've won? At least for now? Kalira's silver eyes softened. Not completely. But today, you forced them to reconsider. You forced them to respect what they cannot calculate. That is victory in its own way. As night fell, Jack and Kalira returned to the apartment. The city below was quiet again, streets empty, but the sense of tension remained. Jack sank into his chair, exhausted, while Kalira leaned against the balcony rail looking at the stars. "You did well," she said quietly. "Not because of power or weapons, but because of spirit. Creativity, adaptability. Humanity is underestimated." Jack smiled faintly. "Guess it pays to be stubborn, and maybe a little clever." Kalira's gaze softened. "You have proven something important. Humans can survive even when the odds are against them. You have defied expectation. You have earned a place in their consideration." Jack nodded slowly, feeling the weight of the words. The threat of the Seekers had not vanished, but humanity had shown it could resist, adapt, and survive. Even when faced with beings far more powerful and advanced, the human spirit had made its mark. Kalira's smirk returned, this time warmer. "You have taught me much, and I am beginning to understand why Earth deserves a chance." Jack leaned, back looking at the ceiling. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, perhaps new threats, but he knew one thing. Humans were not weak, and he would do whatever it took to prove it. For the first time in his life, Jack felt something he had never expected: hope, not just for himself, but for his entire planet. And Kalira, who had come to judge, now stood beside him, ready to witness humanity's defiance firsthand. The dawn was calm, almost peaceful, but Jack Morrison knew better. The city still hummed, with tension. The previous days had tested him, his neighbors, and humanity itself. And yet, against overwhelming odds, they had survived. The Seekers, impressed and confused by human unpredictability, had withdrawn, but their presence remained a threat, a shadow looming over the planet. Jack sat at his small kitchen table, sipping black coffee, feeling the exhaustion from the past week in every bone. Kalira moved quietly around the apartment, examining small details as she always did. She had watched him, studied him, and through their shared struggle, she had learned much about humans. And Jack, for his part, had learned that the ordinary could become extraordinary when challenged. "You should rest," Kalira said softly. Her silver eyes looked at him with a calm intensity. "You did more than any human could expect. Today your species showed spirit, courage, and ingenuity." Jack smiled faintly. "Rest? You're asking me to rest after the week from hell? You've got to be kidding. There's a lot to fix, a lot to prepare, and I don't want to wait for the Seekers to come back." Kalira's smirk appeared again, faint but genuine. "You are relentless. That is why I stayed. You do not merely survive. You fight, adapt, and teach. That is rare among species." Jack chuckled. "Thanks, I think so. What happens now? They saw us. They're impressed. Do they just leave us alone?" Kalira's expression softened, but her voice carried weight. "Not entirely. My people will observe, reassess, and decide if Earth deserves preservation. That may take time. But now they must acknowledge your species' value. Your ingenuity and spirit cannot be ignored." Jack nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and pride. "Guess humans aren't so weak after all." She tilted her head slightly, as if studying him again. "Not weak, unpredictable, resilient, resourceful. That is why I remain." Jack frowned. "Remain? You mean you're not leaving?" Kalira's smirk deepened, her silver eyes glinting. "I am not here as a visitor, nor as a spy. I'm here to understand, to witness, and perhaps to stay. Your kind fascinates me, and I wish to learn more." Jack stared at her. "Stay with me? Here? On Earth?" "Yes," she said simply. "I will not return yet. Your species has earned my attention, and perhaps I may contribute in ways you cannot yet imagine." Jack shook his head, incredulous. "Well, my quiet life is officially over." Kalira laughed softly, a sound that was lighter than the tension of the past week. "Indeed. But perhaps a life with challenges is preferable to one without. You have shown me the value of humanity, Jack, and I choose to remain because of it." Over the next days, life slowly returned to a fragile normal. Jack continued his work as a mechanic, fixing engines and helping neighbors, but now Kalyra was always nearby. She learned about humans in small, quiet ways, observing the way he repaired machines, how he interacted with friends, and how he treated strangers with a mixture of caution and kindness. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Jack and Kalyra walked through the streets together. People stared, curious but cautious. Kalyra's presence was commanding, yet somehow gentle. Jack noticed that even the simplest human gestures, holding a door, helping someone carry groceries, made her silver eyes soften. "You value your species in ways my people cannot comprehend," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Strength is not always measured in force or technology. Courage, Kriya,